Shaking off the Blues. The Eagles notched their 6th win on the trot after overcoming a 19-point third-term deficit. A 5-goal blitz after half-time ignited the West Coast Eagles in front of the brave 20,000 fans who rolled the dice at Optus Stadium. A lift in pressure and clutch goal kicking steering the Eagles as they booted 7 of the last 8 goals to secure the 22-point victory. Welcome to this week's episode of Eagle Review, proudly sponsored by Kennards Hire. Count on Kennards to make trade easy. Go in store or online, kennards.com.au. Tyson Beattie, welcome back to the desk as always. I'm sure fans, coaches, players, all happy the weather stayed away at least till the afternoon. Until then, it just absolutely bucketed in. And you've had an 18-goal game of footy, a 41-point swing, and it's a good spectacle for all to watch.
Well, we've got a bit of a winning streak over the Blues now. 6 consecutive victories over Carlton. Their last win was back in 2015.
Yeah, but they've never been comfortable victories. I mean, it was 22 points yesterday, 24 the year prior, and just 10 points in the premiership year. So they've always been tight tussles, and the Blues certainly brought the pressure on Sunday afternoon.
Well, Stephen, the game always looked like it was going to be a bit of a banana peel, to be honest.
Sorry, Mario Kart reference now.
The improving Blues were fantastic from the outset. They had 11 more tackles in the first half, 77 total over the course of the game. And if you look at the other end, the Eagles forwards were struggling early. JK didn't get a kick in the first term. And then you look at Waterman, Allen, Cameron and Ryan. They only had 11 disposals up until the midway point of the third term before that flurry of three-quarter goals.
Incredible.
The intensity from the Blues was really, really impressive. They ended up with 9 more inside 50s over the course of the game, but ultimately the Eagles took their opportunities. They had 52% efficiency inside 50 compared to Carlton's just 34%.
Yeah, remarkable. We talk about our forwards struggling. Certainly the opposite case was Zach Fisher for the Blues. He's bobbed up with 4 goals after returning from an ankle syndesmosis injury back in round 1. Dare say he's going to be playing throughout. Now, as good as Liam Duggan was on the day, TB, I thought that was his best offensive game for quite some time. 16 disposals at 90% efficiency. He's probably responsible for 3 of those goals and gave away a free kick one as well. So, despite being named in the best, which he probably deserved to be, that's a bit of defensive work probably to work on for Liam Duggan going forward.
He certainly had an influence, though, with those intercept marks and the attacking play, the metres gained. But just on Zach Fisher, in my former life as Perth Demons football manager...
Sorry, Carlton show now, is it?
I did work closely with Zach in his draft year, and he's a really, really talented young player. Very small, but great on both sides of his foot. And his contribution with 4 goals was pretty big, given that Eddie Betts wasn't particularly impactful on the game.
Well said there. Carlton leading by 19 points, early in the third quarter. They've kicked the first goal in the second half, which certainly got a few people worried in the grandstand. But then they've ended up attacking for the next 10 minutes or so. And the Eagles' backline really held strong, defended stoutly. But then, of course, the switch just got flicked, and all of a sudden, West Coast, they've reeled off 5 straight goals to really sink Carlton's game.
Yeah, and Stephen, 4 of those 5 goals came in a 6-minute period late in that third term. If you look at Carlton, they've given up 5-goal streaks in 5 games throughout 2020.
That's incredible.
So they do struggle to stop the bleeding at times. But if you look at that West Coast comeback, it was built on pressure. You look at this Cripps tackle and goal, Ryan with intensity, then Waterman and Archie harassing to set up JK for a goal.
Listen to some of those names, TB. I mean, they're not the leaders of the footy club. They're the emerging players. That's what's most pleasing about seeing these performances in that important third term.
Yeah, and it was a good comeback, Stephen. But again, Simo saying in the post-match press conference that these slow starts are a little bit concerning.
It's not a trend you want to continue. You're 20 down to the Pies, 22 to the Cats, and 19 to the Blues. I mean, you don't want to make a habit of this when you come into the business end of the season. But of course, you look at these second halves, and that's where West Coast are really getting on top. In the last 3 games, they've averaged 9 goals and then 5 in the first half. So they're certainly saving their best for the back end of these performances.
And now you look at best of field honours, Stephen, and you can't go past Dom Sheed. He really sealed it in the last quarter with 2 magnificent goals. But a great goal early for Carlton that put the pressure on.
Yeah, I mean, they got the first of that fourth quarter. This broken tackle from Kelly, pretty costly in the end. I mean, Setterfield, absolute marvellous effort to finish it. But these 2 goals from Dommy Sheed, they are not easy textbook goals, TB. They are very difficult for midfielders to jail, and he has been on song in terms of conversion in 2020.
Well, he kicks for goal with so much confidence, and there's a good reason behind that. But of all the mids, he's kicked 7 goals this season, the most. And if you look at the rest, Nat Nui, Gaff, Kelly have 3 goals. Shuey 1, and Yo hasn't kicked 1. So Simo has been asking for his mids to be able to contribute and kick more goals. Dommy's certainly stepping up there.
He has. Last 2 games, he's got 24 disposals and 2 goals, and it is his 4 out of his last 6 games. He's got 24 disposals or more. So that is form from Big Dommy Sheed. Natanui Now, is he making his case for All-Australian ruckman? I think there is one to be had. It's the 7 clearances, 4 tackles, 41 hit-outs to 14 that was most impressive, plus 10 in clearances when he's in the ruck. But in the end, I thought De Koning actually handled him quite well.
He was good.
Because Pitnat had to go off the ground for a bit of time, only played 62% ground time, the big fella. So that was almost a blessing in disguise for Carlton to have that youngster come in, combated him quite well. But looking at these taps, TB, salivating. I mean, this route run from Luke Shuey. Carlton have obviously the directive to follow the midfielders, and you've got to read Natanui's tap. But Shuey's dart here, you can't defend that. That is brilliant. Communication, experience and execution from the two of those boys.
Now, speaking of the captain, a little bit of a concern here for this one on Ed Curnow, the tripping incident, possibly a fine. We'll know more later on Monday. But Shuey didn't actually touch the ball until the 24th minute mark of the first term. It looked like Matt Kennedy might have been running a little bit with him, but certainly a slow first half for Boots, but certainly in that second half. And this fantastic delivery to Kennedy in the third term, that was sublime as well.
Yeah, pass of the day for mine. Let's move on to the injury front. So Jeremy Mcgovern missing his third straight game for the Eagles. Still that fractured thumb causing him some dramas. Simo said post-game that he still hasn't been able to spoil the ball at training. He has been telling the doctors that he's right to go, despite the doctors saying, well, he's definitely not. So he's pushing hard. Simo's comment, though, he's one of the bravest players he's ever coached. So if Jeremy McGovern's saying he's about right to go, and he's not, it shows that he really is pushing the boundaries. Josh Rotham, I thought, was a magnificent inclusion, making a bit of a smaller backline for the West Coast Eagles, but he stood up well. 12 disposals at 100% clip, but the team-leading 4 intercept marks is what took my eye the most. Read the ball quite well, Josh.
Yeah, and you look at Liam Ryan, he was another one that came into the game with a little bit of a hamstring problem. Only 3 disposals on the game, so certainly the lowest output of the season for him. But you know, he obviously has been through a difficult couple of weeks.
Oh, tell me about it. He's had 2 funerals in the week. So the fact that he's even been able to get up and play with an injury in the back of his mind and you know, causing him some limitations physically, a marvellous effort yet again from Liam Ryan.
Now, my man, Brad Shepard.
Your man.
Magnificent goal it was as well. So his first goal since 2017. The last goal he kicked was a ripper against Port Adelaide.
Sunk him at Adelaide Oval, that one.
To seal that goal. He's only got 18 goals in his magnificent 188-game career. Just thinking beyond him, Tom Barrass still hasn't kicked a goal at AFL level.
You don't see him cross midfield either, really, do you?
Well, 75 games in counting. So when he does get that one, it's going to be a hell of a celebration.
Tell me about it. You might even run on field. That's how up and about will be. Massive game next week against the Hawks. Then you've obviously got GWS, and then you'd think you're going back into a hub. So there's still plenty to play out in this 2020 season, but the Hawks, they're no certainties, TB.
No, the Hawks are going to be really, really tough. We know since the 2015 Grand Final, 4 wins, 3 losses in favour of Hawthorn, and they haven't had a great season, but we saw what they did to Carlton when their backs to the wall last week, so it's going to be a tough test.
I like it. Let's get to some roasts now. Quite a few to get through. We're going to go with the Carlton debutant, Matty Cottrell. His grandfather played 10 games for the club. Geez, I love Cameron Ling getting right behind him, though, here.
Just good to see another redhead out there, Darts. Flying the flag for the redheads.
It's certainly a bit of a club, isn't it?
Oh, I'm glad I've lost my membership, too.
What about Levi Casbolt here? He takes a great contested mark.
Good mitts, Levi.
Big Levi. But how's his kicking for goal here? So it looks like it's come off the instep here. He's almost missed that one.
Almost mouthguard connection. That's how far off the boot it was.
Now, what about the holding the ball controversy? We don't want to go too much into this because it will be covered on other shows and It's not our areas. But certainly this one here was a little bit questionable.
I don't know if he had a lot of time to get rid of that one, TB, but I think mouthing off and giving away the certain goal to Jack Darling, one of his 2 on the day, that's going to get you a roast every day of the week. We're going to move on to Liam Ryan. Look at this light little bump he's given Nick Nat here. It's probably cost Nick Nat goal of his 2020 season. Bit unlucky, but still a roast in my book. Now, poor Gaffey. Geez, you were just riding him to have one of his 7 attempts here to smack it across the line. He's had so many fresh Aries jugs at the counter. No good. That gave Fisher one of his 4. Very fortunate break there for Zach.
What about Kelly here? He takes out Gaff in this huge collision. Clearly a little bit too enthusiastic there. Liam Jones. Now, big hanger on Archie. Archie likes to get up for one, but treatment the other way here. Now, how about Tom Cole? Fantastic contested mark in the back line. But then this smother almost led to a Betts goal. That could have been costly. Yeah,
the 3-metre switch kick never really paying dividends. We're going to go cross sport now to the NBA. Devin Booker, magnificent game winner against the Clippers. That's sensational stuff. How's the celebration? A few bodies on the floor. Oh, the ref has seen none of it. He's hit the deck. Geez, I love a ref stacking it in sport. That's just fantastic entertainment.
Now, what about this one here? So just have a look at this here. That says Dacos, right?
Yep.
Dacos. So the son of the Macedonian marvel, one of the greatest kickers in the history of the AFL. How's this attempt for a shot on goal?
No good.
Now, to his credit, though, he came back and kicked one of the most amazing goals of the round, sealed the victory for the Pies, check side from the boundary.
A good recovery there, I thought. All right, we're going to go to the winner now. So it's going all the way to the staging that's going on to the AFL. There's been a few incidents of late, a few boys milking him for all it's worth. Papley getting the first fine of 2020 for this effort. But of course, Cal Ward going to get the most attention this week for this one because it did lead in the match-winning goal against the Bombers. Not going to roast Callum Ward for that theatrical effort. I am going to roast the people that decided to give him death threats off the back of that incident. That is so shameful, it's not even funny, T-Bag.
Get out, make